With slimy skin and beady eyes, a frog contains a rare surprise. From deep within the Orient, this little creature's time is spent defending what it most holds dear, which, like most animals, I fear, means injuring its fellow toad. But somewhere down along this road, it chose to make its foe's blood drip, with spines protruding from its lip. But fearsome frogs is what you'll see in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's 30 minutes of interesting animal info for you. I'm Joe.
And I am Carlos.
And today we're talking about a frog whose fashion actually has a fantastic function.
Function plus fashion equals fantastic.
Equals more on that later. But yeah, we're talking about a frog. Or more specifically, a toad. And even more specifically,
Actually, not a toad at all.
Not a toadadile?
Not a toadadile. Does not evolve into whatever happens after toadadile.
It's a toad in name only.
Yes.
Apparently. But we're talking about the Emei? Is that what we're saying?
I see Emei.
Emei?
Emei, yeah.
Emei mustache toad?
E-M-E-I. Like M-E-I, I would say is May. And then just like an E in front of it.
Emei?
But I guess like if it was Emily, it would be... So you could say Emei. I like Emei. It's Chinese.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Chinese do.
Yeah. The Emei mustache toad, also known as other things.
The Taoze, or Taoze, spiny toad. And Taoze and Emei are places in the Sichuan province of China.
Sichuan?
Sichuan, yeah.
Szechuan? Szechuan sauce?
Huan is mountain in Chinese. So, the Sai mountain.
Yeah.
But we're going to call it here, the Stache Bash.
Nice.
The Monster Stache.
Man, we should have done this at Halloween's times.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
And he may or may not be a froggy fop.
Oh my gosh. That was good. That was very good. Did Bibby come up with that?
No. These are all mine. Although Bibby has helped me in the past.
Yes. Well, here's what science calls it. It's in the kingdom you know, love, and are within. The kingdom Animalia.
Oh, science. You never fail to disappoint a little bit.
Well, no, that's not true. Sometimes it's amazing. Sometimes it's like, well, it's not as amazing as my fantasies. Like
sometimes it's
like
Pink
Jurassic
Floyd-y.
Park, where it's like, yeah, all the stuff in Jurassic Park is fake, and I'm like, well, it's real to me.
Well, yeah, any Hollywood science is bogus, it seems.
Yeah. Phylum is Chordata.
Mm-hmm.
The class is Amphibia.
Yep, because it starts its life off underwater with gills.
Yep.
And then ends its life without gills. And no longer has to be underwater.
Yes.
Which I think is true of all amphibians.
No, it isn't.
Unless they're neotenic, like the...
that too.
Like the axolotl.
Yeah, but there's other... We'll talk about
But there's a reason...
More on that
It's
later.
neotenic because it's abnormal. It's abnormal that it never grows out of its gills.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
an amphibian.
It's what is called the exception that proves the rule, which doesn't make any sense.
No, it does not.
Except for that
doesn't make any
it
sense.
is a notable example because it is so strange.
What's the exception in gravity that proves the rule?
Birds. Honestly, birds. Yeah.
No, it's not.
But birds are an example of what that phrase is used for.
Yeah, but they don't defy gravity. They're not an exception to the rule of gravity.
You're right, but they're notable because they don't do what things normally do during gravity. Throughout the course of gravity.
I think there's a spell of gravity coming on.
Ugh. Oh, the order is Anura.
This is frogs and toads.
Yeah. We've talked about that before, right?
Mm-hmm. In the hairy frog
episode
and the reticulated glass frog episode.
Yeah.
And the Colorado river toad, where we talked about the difference between
we've done a lot of toads.
Frogs and toads.
We've done so many toads and done no turtles. We've done one turtle.
You did the leatherback.
The family is Megophryidae.
So this is why it's not a toad. True toads are only in the family Bufonidae.
Yes.
So
it is an untrue toad.
But it's not. It doesn't have
Toadly
dry
features?
skin.
It is very shiny.
Or warty skin. So
it's very oily.
It's not really a.
It's oily like a 15-year-old boy.
Excuse me.
Like acne-ridden, like oily-faced teens.
Okay. Oily like Ramses at the end of Nacho Libre.
Yeah. Genus Leptobrachium.
Definitely sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
Leptobrachium. That means that's like when you clear someone's airways.
Yeah.
Species Boringi.
Double I.
Boringi. I
don't know.
Let's dance the Boringi.
I don't know.
The binomial name is Leptobrachium boringi. It sounds fun.
It's boring, and then I. Boringy.
Boring-ish.
But since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for critter groups. The part of the show where I, Carlos, pose to you, Joe, question that is the same every time, which is, what is the name of the collective noun for this animal? And I think we've already done frogs with the ridiculous glass frog, so I chose a different term for a group of them. Not. So, if you saw a bunch of Emei mustache toads, which are technically frogs, you would say, hey, look at that A, swath of toads, or Emei mustache toads, swath. B, an army of Emei mustache toads. C, a pad of Emei mustache toads. And D, a silence of Emei mustache toads.
What was the first one?
Swath.
Swath of toads.
Swath, army, pad,
army.
And silence.
Final answer. Resounding.
How did you know?
So, I think I've talked about this before. I used to have like these agendas, like school agendas, basically a calendar notebook that you could write all your stuff down in and like keep track of what you had to do. And they had these little fun facts at the bottom with little pictures. And we'd spend a lot of times like crossing them out and drawing pictures on them to make them funny.
Okay.
And I remember the picture for one was a toad like marching, because the fact was a group of toads is called a
who knew I would tap into your like
my deepest memories.
And it doesn't make any sense. I thought I would totally get you with that one. Like, there's no way that that frogs are an army. How is it not wasps or something like that?
Pad was a good one. Pad is a really good one.
I think I used pad in the last one too. Like, I think I used
the last frog.
Pad and cluster, but the answer was not.
Yeah.
I was hoping for that silence would be the dark horse, would be the out of left field that could totally be it, but also was really weird.
Yeah, because I don't usually describe frogs as silent. They're really loud.
I also wouldn't describe them as an organized military at all.
But lots of animals are called like army ants.
Yeah, they're way more organized than a bunch of frogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I nailed it?
It's your turn to say things.
Okay. Let's talk about some random facts until we get to the best part of the episode, and then we can maybe go home.
Oh, so up until the major fact. Then we go home after that.
The range. The Emei mustache toad lives in China.
Yes.
It's most commonly found in southeastern, actually the southeastern center of the country.
The Sichuan province.
Yeah, especially in the Sichuan, the Guizhou, Guizhou.
Southeastern, that's kind of over where Hong Kong is.
Guizhou, and Hunan provinces.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
And for some reason, spell check keeps wanting me to remove the word the. They want me to say especially Sichuan provinces. Or especially Sichuan province. I feel like they're wrong.
I feel like that too.
It prefers forests, grasslands, gardens, and farms that are located near rivers and water sources, as they are wont to lay eggs in water.
It's a bucolic little
frog, yeah.
Non-Buffonidae.
Most animals prefer the rural lifestyle, but some like the city life.
Except like pigeons,
peregrine falcons,
raccoons.
Yep, raccoons.
Alligators are living in the Manhattan subways,
even though they aren't.
They're definitely not. Yeah.
Because it gets too cold. They are becoming more rare because they are threatened by a loss of habitat. Ain't that the way? Distribution. And by that I mean description. We just talked about the distribution. The description, if in case you're driving and you can't Google this. And if it looks a little bit different than a lot of frogs. Emei is a dark gray frog with shiny skin muddled with black patterns all over its back. In some cases, it can be dark blue.
I love blue.
Blue animals are great.
All of them. There's a lot of blue frogs, though.
There are a lot of blue frogs.
Blue frog-a-day.
There's some blue birds as well. Very few blue mammals, if any.
Yeah, not even the Malabar giant squirrel.
I bet there's probably some animals called blue that are probably like black, and like in certain lights they look blue. Maybe.
I can't even think of one.
That one.
Blue tick hound, I think.
Yes. Certain there are dog species that are like it's blue. It's like it's gray. It's really gray. It has big, inky black eyes. In fact, the genus is known as large eye litter frogs because their eyes are so big. They're kind of cute.
That's what leptobrachium means?
Yeah.
Nothing having to do with lungs?
I don't know if that's what it means, but they're just known. Leptobrachiums are known as this.
Got it.
But now that we're talking about what it looks like and some descriptors about it, I feel like that brings us to the listener's favorite part of the show.
The major fact?
Yeah.
So this guy,
No, welcome to the listener's favorite part of the show until evidence that is empirical shows otherwise. The part of the show...
I prefer ontological evidence.
Where I pose quiz questions to Carlos to convey the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms. Welcome back to the season of woe. Are we still in the season of woe? Yeah, we're still in the season of woe. The season in which the questions are harder and more relatable than ever. It's also the part of the show that's introduced by either the listener, you, or an animal. If you would like to submit your own Measure Up intro, just say, sing, or bark the words Measure Up into your phone's recording app and email it to ldtaxonomy@gmail.com.
Also, Alana was impersonating a dog in that last episode.
Did she write in?
No, I read the email and she said, I tried to bark it this time.
Oh, okay. I either read that and just assumed like she was saying that on behalf of her dog. Because we said, bark, I always say bark.
Oh, okay. We say shitter, but...
Yeah. In this intro, I say bark because I know there are dogs out there that want to participate. Without further ado, wait. Today we have a new submission from my girlfriend Johanna.
Hooray!
She's my favorite girlfriend. And only.
All right, end of show, I guess.
And end of life.
Yeah, I guess you're done.
Well, it's featuring her dog Holly, who's playing a beautiful instrument. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Measure up.
I was gonna say, have we devolved now to just any sound
No.
counts as measure up? No,
No,
she added it in
It's just
there.
her doing a measure up in just a hellscape that I kind of, it's my fault because I got her dog Holly a little present. She's squeaking a llama with a squeaker in its butt.
Johanna doesn't seem that perturbed. She kind of seems like chill about it.
I feel like
measure up.
I feel like her, knowing her, I feel like that tone of voice was the like.
I'm about to snap.
No, it's kind of like the I've accepted my doom.
Okay. It's like, yeah, eat, drink, and be merry. For tomorrow we die.
For tomorrow Holly dies, and everyone who knew her.
Great. Thanks, Johanna.
Thank you, indeed, and thanks to Holly for those beautiful sounds. Let's talk about female length. It's about 67 meters. Just kidding, 67 millimeters, or 2.6 inches.
I think there's an episode in Naruto where there's a 67-meter frog that attacks people.
Sounds like a thing you might encounter in D&D. Singapore's official mascot is the merlion, a half lion, half fish. A statue of the merlion stands in Marina Bay. How many female Emmys go into the height of the merlion?
Why Singapore?
I don't know. It's in the Orient.
That's so racist of you.
Here's a hint. The merlion represents Singapore's history as a fishing village and its original name, which means Lion City. You know what its official name is? Singapore.
You said 67 millimeters.
Yeah.
How many inches?
2.6.
Okay. I always grossly overestimate the size of statues. I always think they're way bigger than they actually are.
Yeah.
I'm going to... Height?
Yeah, the height of the statue.
I'm gonna say
Not the height of the frog.
I'm going to say 15 feet.
The frog is from nose to vent.
Is its vent?
Its butt.
It's tush?
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling my tush from now on.
You gotta vent some tacos.
Gotta evacuate. All right. I'm going to say 70.
70 toads?
70 toads go into the height of this merlion statue.
Final answer?
A merlion just sounds like just an epic wine. A Cab Sav and a merlion.
It is 28 feet tall, or 8.6 meters.
Now I grossly underestimated.
It is 128 toads. Let's talk about the male length. They are sexually dimorphic in terms of size by a little bit. By about, it's 75 millimeters. I'm not the one who's doing head math here. 3 inches. So good even 3 inches.
I love that.
The Emei mustache toad is named for Mount Emei in the Sichuan province in China. How many Emmys go into the highest elevation of Mount Emei?
Elevation ones are also the worst.
They are hard. Now, elevation means from sea level. There is another term that I think means...
From base.
Yeah, that means from base, but...
That's tough because if it's in a mountain range, then who knows what the base is?
Well, it's based on topography.
Oh, the plate it's off of or something?
Yeah.
All right.
Here's a hint. China has several sacred mountains that are divided into several categories. There's ones for specific mountains that were visited on pilgrimage by emperors. There's ones for Taoism, but these four are Emei. Mount Emei is one of the 4 sacred Buddhist mountains.
I climbed Shihuan in
Do you know what?
near Xi'an in the northwestern, kind of midwestern.
I wonder if Sichuan then is Sichuan.
What?
S-I-C.
Yeah.
Sichuan.
Shihuan means flower mountain.
Okay.
And
Sichuan. Okay.
I started climbing at 10 o'clock at night and got to the top at 5 o'clock in the morning. It took me 7 hours to climb that mountain.
Through the night?
Yes.
Why?
To see the sunrise.
Okay.
Because I was 20 and I could do things like that.
Oh my gosh. I was like, you're hiking at night. What's the point? And you're like, okay, the sunrise is good.
Also, it was all well lit. There were tons of just the most dangerous stairs ever. And thousands of people.
So, okay. So it wasn't like this walkabout you were going on in the middle of the night.
No, it was a tourist attraction for sure. But the hardest tourist attraction I've ever been a part of.
It must be insane during the day then, if there are loads of people hiking the middle of the night. Or is it kind of a tradition
I think
to
it's
see
a
the sunrise?
thing to see the sunrise.
Ah, okay.
And it's another one of those things where like couples will buy a lock and then lock it into the chains that go along, kind of like they did in that bridge in Paris, and then they had to force people to stop doing that because the bridge was sagging under the weight of all of
That's
the
incredible.
locks.
Get lighter locks.
Yeah, just sell the tiny ones. All right. I'm also bad at estimating the heights of mountains. You've picked my weaknesses.
Yeah.
Which is the height of mountains and statues.
Because there's the range of mountains sizes is so large. Same thing with you could have the Christ statue in Brazil, or you could have an Oscar,
Is that a statue? That doesn't count as a statue.
Statuette.
Sure. I'm gonna say this mountain is 4,000 feet above sea level. It's probably more, but we're gonna go with 4,000. And this is 3 inches, which means that there are 4 of them that go into a foot. So 4 times 4,000 is a cool, even 16. That doesn't sound right. I'm going with it. 16,000.
Okie doke. The mountain is 3,099 meters.
Meters.
Or 10,167 feet. Which makes it out to be 41,320 toads.
Those meters always get me. It's amazing how close.
Yeah, what are the odds of that?
No, but this is not the first time it's happened.
I know.
I've been almost spot on, but with the wrong unit of measurement. That's bananas.
Okay.
All right, we're done.
Let's get into some fast facts before we dive into the major fact.
That was woeful.
Emeis have long forearms and slender, thin hind legs, which is very strange for frogs.
This is weird when you say Emmy. I feel like somebody's winning some award. We just talked about Oscars.
We won an Emmy. By comparison, other toads rely on powerful hind legs to hop around as their primary means of locomotion, but their big old forearms allows them to walk high up on their legs and crawl rather than hopping everywhere they go. They like to crawl around. It's kind of fun to watch. Emmys, or Grammys, or whatever, have typical life cycles for toads where eggs are laid in rivers and then they hatch into tadpoles and then grow and develop into frogs over time. They're born with gills and then slowly develop lungs that allow them to get out of the water and find food on land. But this isn't the course that every amphibian takes. Their metamorphosis, where metamorphosis turns larvae into air-breathing adults. Some don't need the water larvae phase at all. Certain African toads that live in regions that don't have abundant, suitable water sources will give birth to live young that are just full-on frogs.
They're ovoviviparous?
Ovoviviparous, yeah.
It's hard not to sound a little bit drunk when you say that.
It's ovoviviparous.
Ovoviviparous.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
That is
They come out straight up frogs.
Just skip that boring tadpole
Those are, I
stage.
think, are true toads.
Yeah, they don't even count. Although they're all in the class Amphibia.
They're all in the army.
So they're the exception that proves the rule.
Which doesn't make sense. All right, yeah, that's it.
Time for the major fact.
Beware the stash.
So for the most part, these frogs they look like frogs.
Yeah.
You would see one and be like, hey, look, a frog. But they're different. So they hop, they sleep, they crawl, they catch bugs with their crazy tongues, and they bash each other with their mustaches.
Don't you?
No.
Oh, same.
I try not to, actually.
Yeah.
It's a big temptation for me. But I specifically avoid it because it's just part of my self-control growing process. That's right. Males have a ridge of sharp horns that grow out of their top lips.
Mm-hmm.
So add like a torture mustache from Mad Max to this.
Yeah. Okay.
It just... this little frog goes, we live, we die, we live again.
Witness me!
So, yeah, it has this, like, just ridiculous, wet, smug grin with these just...
Goth spikes.
With, like, Sauron spikes coming out of the top of its face. And these spikes are made of keratin. Actual hair.
Whoa.
So we have what appears to be a keratinous mustache.
Interesting.
Just like you and I have.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's the stuff that your hair and nails are made out of, like I said. Also rhino horns.
Yep.
They're nothing special. They're just
Your
fingernails and stuff.
Yep.
They're just really weird nose nails for a rhino.
Yeah.
But this frog essentially has a bunch of rhino horns on its face. It grows about 10 to 16 of these spines, and they are sharp as a sharpened pencil. So they're very, very sharp points. And they're not afraid to use their fearsome jaw prickles against each other. Or against you if you try to pick one up.
That could hurt. Like if somebody even poked you a little hard with
A pencil.
it would smart.
And if someone like chucked 10 to 16 pencils at you, point downward at your finger, it hurt. So what the Emei mustache toad likes to do is secure positions in streams and rivers where females are likely to pass. When another male shows up and wants the spot, they slap each other with their lips, and they try to drive their spines into their rivals' stomachs.
Yike.
And while they do cause puncture wounds, they almost never kill one another with their uncanny caltrops.
Huh.
Which is typical of ritual combat.
Yeah, because they're not fighting to the death, they're fighting to draw.
They're not like the...
I mean, fighting to the first person to say uncle.
Yeah, they're not like the Dawson's bees or whatever?
Yeah, Dawson's bees fight to the death.
Murder each other by the thousands.
And sometimes the female be up by accident.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
The bee male.
It's the alpha male and the B male. But what's interesting is that these spines are only present on the Emei mustache toad for 2 to 3 weeks. So they grow during the mating season and then shed after they don't need them anymore.
Kind of like a platypus stinger.
Is that the case with a platypus stinger?
Uh-huh. It's on the men during mating season.
Huh.
I don't know if it falls off or retreats, or I don't know what happens to it, but it...
Well, it's like kind of like deer antlers. But deer will grow their antlers up until the mating season, and then after the mating season is over, they'll shed their antlers and then do it again. Then
Start
following
growing
year.
another one.
But this one is like during the mating season, suddenly like these spines pop up and then they vanish. So it's a little bit more concentrated of an event. And also, males will protect the eggs of a rival it has fought off. So it's like, oh, those are your eggs? Fight them off. I want this position, and your eggs are now my eggs. Which is different from lions, which are like, and I'm going to murder your children.
That's very interesting, because even though that you've won, they're still not your eggs.
Yeah. Or he'll probably add his eggs to it.
Right.
He does protect and raise the young. Well, not raise, but protect the young of.
They may not have my blood, but they have my values.
He's a very principled mustache frog. But yeah, the lions will, if once they take over the territory of a rival, will kill the cubs and then mate with the females so that his genetic line continues. So it's maybe they just don't know to do this yet.
Yeah.
But animals usually do everything in their power to pass their own genetic line on. Even monstrous things, like the monster stache.
Yes.
That's all I got. Anything else?
That's crazy that it's a real stache. It's a real hair stache.
It is a spines made out of, well, they're more like nails, but your nails and your hair are made out of the same thing.
Yeah.
Just in a different structure. So it's the same material, different structure. So it's not really hair, but still, it's a keratinous mustache.
Yeah.
Just like you and I have.
I didn't know. I wonder if there are other non-mammals that have keratin. There must be. But what are they?
Let's just round them up. We're going to do an episode where it's just keratinous non-mammals.
Yeah.
Most interesting episode yet.
Hairy lizards.
But until then, you out there in Podcastia, find the ideal position, defend your territory, and don't be afraid to use your facial hair to your advantage like the Emei mustache toad in life, death, and taxonomy. Just like a mustache makes certain cops and bikers all the more genuine, reviews validate our little animal show here. Essentially, your reviews put a little hair on the stiff upper lip of our humble podcast. Stars are great, if you have some to spare, but taking a few lines to tell the world what you like about our program goes a long way. Plus, it'll give you yet another opportunity to tell everyone you know that Critter Groups is your favorite segment and that Measure Up is a tired old man's game. In any case, stay snazzy, and thanks for listening.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.